What do you think the difference is between feeling secure? So, like, some people can feel secure, but actually being secure. And where this question's coming from, because I've been working with a lot of my doctors, and I'm telling you, these high income earners making $500,000, $600,000 a year, they're spending the same amount of money. I mean, their profit margins on their business are very slim to none.
The more people make, the more they're going to spend. And so there's a big difference in feeling secure and feeling you have all the stuff and all the things and actually being secure. It's about that control. And it's about, because you don't want to necessarily have to give up life today to save for tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's something that I'm not a big fan of. Like, I think you should live every day to its fullest. Go have fun and enjoy it, but we do need to have that balance of what if things do get wrong, that I'm not going to be in financial devastation. And so there are some smart things you can do with that. That's what it's all about right there, is having something that you're going to be able to still get by regardless, versus feeling like you're doing great, but if that one bad thing happens, you're in financial devastation. You're losing it.
Hey, Money Multipliers. Welcome back to another episode of the Money Multiplier podcast. I'm your host, Hannah Kesler, and we ask ourselves, do our dollars make sense? Hey, today's topic I think is very, very important, and you need to ask yourself this question. Are you one emergency away from financial disaster? I mean, think about it. If your car broke down tomorrow, or you had a medical bill, or your income stopped for 90 days, what would happen? I mean, honestly, there's a statistic that was posted that most Americans, we cannot handle a $1,000 emergency. I mean, even my high income earners are living paycheck to paycheck. So I don't want to operate out of this fear, but it's more so getting into being ready and being prepared for when life happens. Because, Mr. Stephen Nagy, thanks for joining me here today.
What's up, Hannah? Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, my man. I'm good.
Out there traveling, enjoying life?
Yeah. So actually coming to you all live from Arizona today.
So really the question for this podcast is, if you have one van emergency, are you able to keep traveling, right?
Straight up. No, when I had my other van, actually the emergency that happened, some pictures posted up on my Facebooks. I posted them. You know how like the 1 year, 2 year little stories will roll around.
Yeah.
There was a snowstorm. I was driving on I-70 West, and there was a snowstorm, and I was in this like little mountain town. And I'm like, I'm not going on the road. So I parked in a McDonald's parking lot for 3 days, and my pipes froze underneath for my gray water tanks. And then so once the roads cleared, I was like, okay, drive south, and let's get the heat going so my pipes are now working again. But that is something, right? Like, what if the pipes bursted and then I needed that money to go and fix the pipes for my gray water tank? You know?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, it's the little things that you never even think about, like frozen pipes in your travel van. Like, who would even think about that? But those are the things in the life that happen, and those are the things we don't always account for. And that's why I'm excited to talk about this topic with you today.
So I want to ask you, Mr. Stephen, when you talk to families and business owners, how financially fragile are most people really? Like, what's your take on that?
Brittle, like the thinnest little sheet of glass you could think of. Like those, you get a glass and you like tap it with a spoon, the thing shatters. Like that is literally how the large majority of people operate financially, it seems like.
Yeah. Well, and two, hey, share the story of even in our business. There was a time during COVID where we actually had to use some of our cash values within the policies just to pay payroll.
Yeah, no, I mean, it really started for me back in 2008, and we can get into that. But yeah, more recently in 2020, I tell a story sometimes, but I met Chris Nagy in 2019, and we partnered together to build a financial education company. And part of that company was teaching the infinite banking concept. And We launched the company at the start of 2020. We were traveling around. We were in our third city. The whole company was based around going to different cities and teaching financial education, specifically real estate investing and infinite banking. And we were on our third city. We were in Orlando, Florida, and COVID hit. And basically we were in the ballroom. We had to cancel the event because they said nobody was allowed to congregate in public anymore. And so we got there in the ballroom and we said, we turned on every iPad, every cell phone we had, and we went live and we're like, hey guys, we don't know what's going to happen from here. We don't know what's going on in the world. We know we're not able to do our live events. So anybody that was registered for the rest of the week, unfortunately, we have to cancel, but stay tuned. We're going to figure this out. And Chris luckily was able to sneak out of Orlando. He took one of the last flights back home to Buffalo before they shut down all the airports and everything there for the 2 weeks to slow the spread, whole deal. And so, but about a week later, about a month later, Chris got home. We started figuring out what are we going to do virtually instead? How can we start sharing all this knowledge, experience, education with people instead of live? Let's figure out Zoom and the rest of it. But about a month after that, Shauna, and a lot of you guys know Shauna Decker. She's a big part of our operation and company, helps with all the events and helps make sure everything goes forward. But Shauna also at the time back in 2020 was running payroll. And I remember she went up to Chris and she was like all worried and concerned. And she was like, hey, Chris, like, do I need to look for a job? And Chris was like, what are you talking about? She's like, I'm supposed to get a paycheck tomorrow and there's no money in our accounts. We're broke. We don't have any money. And Chris was like, oh no, like, what do we do? And so he started looking at his money and realized he had a bunch of money in a couple of his policies, his whole life policies. And so he actually took a loan from those, brought those over and was able to use the loans from the policies to keep the BYOB Money School going at the time, to keep payroll going and all the other expenses. And so without those policies and Chris having the money in there, we might not be where we are today because of that. And so it's a great example of, hey, these policies, and we'll talk about that, Hannah, but you never know in life. I mean, nobody expected COVID to happen, and it's those little things. And we could talk about that. You look at divorces. I mean, sometimes maybe your spouse is cheating on you, you never knew about it, and all of a sudden it destroys your entire life, right? Or heart attacks. I mean, things happen medically happen. There's, natural disasters, things like hurricanes. I mean, how many people that were financially devastated due to a hurricane or a tornado or an earthquake or snowstorms? I mean, the snowstorms we've had this year have been crazy. Floods, those floods in North Carolina a couple of years ago. So it's these things that are completely out of our control that we can plan for everything in our lives, but the stuff that we can't control, that are out of our control, that can create the biggest financial devastation in our lives. So that's one of the things that when I first started learning about infinite banking, just like it allows us to do so much, but that safety net, that having that money there where it's not just sitting and losing because it's still compounding, growing for us, but having it there is so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. And I even am thinking about, because a lot of people like to put themselves in the mindset of, okay, medical emergencies, a job loss, business downturn, the family emergencies. I mean, even divorces, like you said, or even unexpected taxes. I mean, hey, the IRS can come knocking on the door and they want their money when they want it, right? And we can prep ourselves for all of this. I mean, here's what I do, y'all, if this is helpful. I have dollars set aside in my policies, and I also have some dollars set aside in my bank account. I have 3 months of my overhead expenses in my policies and 3 months of my expenses in my bank account. And that's money that I do not touch. Okay. And I'm very disciplined about it because if something happens, I have at least 6 months of my overhead covered until I can figure out how to get myself in a better position. So even with those 6 months of overheads covered, that's even money that I can use if something happens, a big financial catastrophe, that I'll have these dollars that I can go and use it to get myself out of this hole that I'm in right now. So I just really want y'all to think about this. I know I talk a lot about, hey, manage your cash flow, make sure you're understanding how money's coming in, where it's going every month, where you're spending the money at, and more specifically how you're keeping that money. But these emergencies, I don't think it really, yes, these emergencies create a problem, but in all reality, it really reveals this broken system, if you will, and a broken mindset around our money that we just need to get in the know with it. And we just need to, like Nelson Nash would always say this. He says, plan that you're going to live forever, but live as if you're going to die tomorrow. And I think you need to really hear that and live your life in that manner. Be present, but also plan as if you are going to live forever. So
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Hannah. And, I've seen it firsthand myself. I was a financial advisor with Ameriprise Financial out of college. And, this was in 2006, 2007, leading up to the big recession and great recession, 2008 when everything dropped. And I saw it firsthand. I had clients, as an advisor where we were building up their retirement accounts, traditionally speaking. So, really focusing on things like their 401ks, their traditional IRAs, in these different index funds and mutual funds. And the whole idea of a mutual fund is it's diversified. So if one company loses a bunch of value, well, the other companies hold your money up high. But what people don't always consider is what happens when the entire market and all companies drop tremendously in value, like we saw in 2008. And so there was a lot of my clients that were approaching retirement age when, this big financial disaster occurred in the world. It was a global financial disaster. Nobody really could plan for it outside of it just happening. And those people were not able to retire. And I'm sure all of you watching right now, you probably know somebody, whether it was a family member, a good friend, parents that had to go back to work. I mean, it was the old joke, like, all the Walmart greeters, people had to go back and do something because they could no longer live because their entire retirement accounts and everything fell. And so it just creates so many problems. And there's so many, and that's one of the reasons I love what we do today, and is we teach these alternative strategies, because from my experience in studying this stuff, traditional ways of investing and looking at retirement just don't work. I mean, it's why the retirement age keeps getting pushed back. It's why things like Social Security are just such a disaster, because
people are living longer.
It's crazy. Right. People are living longer. They're having to work longer. All these stuff are happening. So there's so much better ways to look at money. And so for me, people ask me all the time, Stephen, are you investing in this? Are you investing in that? And oftentimes the answer is no. And I tell them, I'm like, listen, I have a very specific investing strategy, and it comes from almost PTSD of living through 2008 and watching that happen. I mean, I still get scared getting involved in real estate development deals because I remember all the ghost communities after 2008. These communities that were like during the big boom leading up to the real estate boom, leading up to 2008, like people were developing houses everywhere, especially in Southwest Florida, which is where I lived at the time. And so there was these neighborhoods with roads, with curbs, with sidewalks, maybe a foundation here and there, that got abandoned for 20 years when that happened. It's just ghost communities. And I still see that to this day. And so I have a very conservative approach, but where a lot of people might say, you mentioned just now, Hannah, I have an emergency fund where something goes wrong, I can still live for 3 to 6 months, right? My 3 to 6 months of income and bills I can pay for. So I keep that to the side. I do more like 9 months, 9+ months. Why? Just because I have that, like, still to this day, like thinking back on it, like, man, things can go wrong and things can go wrong quickly. But the difference is where you're keeping that, in my opinion, the difference is where you're keeping that money, what you're doing. People all the time, hey, when you use infinite banking, you're financing things on your own. I don't need credit. I don't need to worry about credit. Well, let me tell you, when things go bad, it's nice to have that credit just in case. It's a last case scenario. Like, you don't want to run credit cards up, but there's situations where maybe you have to get you through to the next point in life or whatever that looks like. And so there's different ways to look at things. And that's what I love about this podcast, the trainings that we do. We just got done with that big 3-day virtual training that we did, the BYOB Blueprint. That, by the way, Hannah, people raved about your session on there. So if you guys this 3-day, look out for the recordings coming out. Hannah did an hour long on the first day, and I surveyed everybody after the 3 days, and so many people said Hannah's part was the best part. So make sure you guys check that out in the recordings. Really, really good. But it's why I love talking about this stuff, because just the stuff we're taught in college and in high school and college, traditional finance, traditional investing, it's just doesn't see, it's almost like they want you to be broke. It's almost like they want you to fail sometimes,
Oh,
right?
so you mean that there's a secret agenda that we may or may not know about? Oh, funny.
I feel like that's true, man. But I literally just bought yesterday. It'll be here Friday, a tinfoil hat. So when I'm doing podcasts and webinars and we talk a little conspiracy, I'm just going to put it on for a second and take it off. But we do like to have fun, right?
That's fun. That's fun. No, hey, but you did bring up a good point, and actually, I wanted to segue into that too. Is that you do have to look at where you're storing your money at, because if you are putting, I say it this way, if you are locking up your money in those 401ks, those qualified accounts, when something does happen, do you have access to the money? Is it liquid so that I can use it for this debt or these expenses that I have, because I think a lot of people just want to go back to the traditional advice. And this is my Dave Ramsey people, my Dave Ramsey disciples, hey, just save more, right? Just save more and then go buy term and invest the difference, or just save more and go put your money within the markets. I mean, it's just such incomplete advice because, as we know, cost of living's going up. I mean, matter of fact, actually, Stephen, I have a TV here in my van. Let me tell you, having a TV in my van, it feels a lot like home with the TV compared to my other van. Like if my other van felt like home, but like having this TV, I'm like, wow, I'm at home now. But I was watching on the news, they have the they're doing a lot of these press conferences and different things, and the Secretary of State's coming in and talking about the climate of our financial economy right now. And hey, you said that if tariffs go up, that cost of materials and buildings going to go down, and it's not doing that. It's just kind of funny to like see them kind of interact together, because I don't watch a whole lot of news, but seeing that this morning, but there's a always, because our dollar's not tied to gold. I mean, hopefully in my lifetime, I can make some changes where we can tie the dollar back to gold, abolish the Fed. Okay. All right. Just hear me out. I got some big aspirations here. But because of that, there's this hidden tax called inflation that's going to keep increasing our costs of our living. And so, in my opinion, that's what these policies allow me to do instead of other vehicles that we have access to, because I'm hedging myself against this inflation. My money's going to continue to grow and compound over time, over and over and over again, because of that uninterrupted compounding. So I don't know, Stephen, I guess I just really want to ask you the question. What do you think the difference is between feeling secure? So like some people can feel secure, but actually being secure, and where this question's coming from, because I've been working with a lot of my doctors, my physicians, my dentists, my chiros, and I'm telling you, these high income earners making $500,000-$600,000 a year, they're spending the same amount of money. I mean, their profit margins on their business are very slim to none. And so what's kind of the difference from, okay, I feel secure, aka my income that's coming in, versus actually being secure?
No, 100%. And you're spot on with that. One thing I learned at a very young age, and I witnessed now for the last 15, 20 years of my life, is the more people make, the more they're going to spend. And you see that especially in places like South Florida. You see that, in different areas around the country where, keeping up with the Joneses, keeping up with the neighbors is a real thing. Like it's for a lot of people, the main thing in their lives. And it doesn't need to be that way, but you're right. I mean, I can't tell you how many business owners I know, people that are making high six-figure salaries, even approaching seven figures, that they tell me, Stephen, I don't have money. Like, I don't know where my money goes. Like it's gone. Like I spend it quicker than I make it, and they make great money. And so you're spot on with that. And so there's a big difference in feeling secure and feeling you have all the stuff and all the things, and actually being secure. And to me, it's about that control, and it's about, because you don't want to necessarily have to give up life today to save for tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's something that I'm not a big fan of. Like, I think you should live every day to its fullest. I think you should go take vacations and create experiences with your family, especially those of you that have children that are younger. Like, get out there and enjoy life with them. or maybe if for whatever reason in life you haven't been able to do that yet, you're at a point now where go have fun and enjoy it. But we do need to have that balance of what if things do get wrong, that I'm not going to be in financial devastation. And so there are some smart things you can do with that. I mean, one of the reasons I love real estate investing, and one of the things that got me into real estate investing, I will never forget it. I was watching a presentation and they were selling me on taking a course to go learn real estate investing. And the guy put up this big skyscraper. He put up this big apartment complex, and he put up all these houses. And he goes, the one thing that is in common with all of those properties I just showed you, he goes, the one thing in common is I own them all. And then he goes, let me explain a little further. He goes, this property right here, big, beautiful mansion on the water in Southwest Florida, big, beautiful house. He goes, I own this property. Do you know who lives there? He goes, a dentist. The guy makes $1 million a year. Guess what? He's renting from me. He goes, and then he showed this big, fancy apartment complex. He goes, these things rent out for, at the time, it was like $5-6 grand a month, which these days is nothing, but this was 15-16 years ago. Back then there was a lot. He goes, the people in here make great money. They're professionals. They're attorneys. They're people that make great money. Everyone is people that rent from me. He goes, but guess what? They're paying me each month. They have no equity. And he started talking about everything real estate does. And it really opened my eyes to the fact that, hey, just because somebody has a great career, makes great money, doesn't mean they understand how money works. It doesn't mean that they're smart with their money. And it doesn't mean that somebody making 500 grand a year versus 50 grand a year, they can't be in financial devastation just like that. They both can be, because their expenses are just as high as their income in almost every one of those situations. So instead of that, what would it look like if you were the one buying that property? You were the one putting people in there that were paying you rent each month. Guess what? If something happens financially, what do you still have coming in? You still have that rental income coming in. I can lose my job right now through passive investments, through rental incomes. I have enough money coming in where at least I can get by.
Yeah.
Sure, maybe I need to pause the fancy trips for a few months. Sure, maybe I need to not go spend, ridiculous money on my wife's anniversary or on Valentine's Day or whatever. You got to be responsible during those times, but I'm not going to be living on the streets. I'm not going to lose everything. I'm not going to lose my house. I can pay my mortgage, and I'm not going to have a tow truck arrive in my front yard and take my cars away. Well, nowadays, because I finance all that stuff with my own baby. But more importantly, just for regular people, because you have the income coming in. So there's so many different ways to look at it, and just little things that you can change. And that's what I love about infinite banking is literally the one change where your money goes first can change everything for you, not only today, but more importantly into the future and years down the road, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So I know that's kind of a long answer to your question there, but
no,
so when it comes to people feeling comfortable, versus actually being comfortable, that's what it's all about right there, is having something that you're going to be able to still get by regardless, versus feeling like you're doing great, but if that one bad thing happens, you're in financial devastation. You're losing everything.
Hey, y'all. I'm Hannah Kesler with the Money Multiplier.
And I'm Larry Steinhaus, CEO, Investor Schooling.
Last year, we hosted the Money Game Live, and the impact was incredible. People walked away with real strategies that changed how they use and grow their money.
So this year, we're bringing it back. Money Game Live 2026 is a 3-day immersive event in Tampa, Florida, designed to change the way you think about wealth.
And we're going to be here teaching how to build cash flow, how to buy real estate without using your own money, and how to structure your finances so your money works for you instead of the bank.
This is for anyone who is ready to stop relying on outdated financial advice and start building a system that actually creates freedom.
And if you missed last year, you don't want to miss this one. We have a big guest coming out.
I know. We're not going to tell them yet who it is, though, are we?
No.
Listen, go to moneygamelive.com and secure your seat now. I'm telling you, you're going to want this.
And we'll see y'all in Tampa. Well, and then also to the emotional tie of it, I mean, here's what Pops would always say in the chiropractic days. He would say that the number one cause of death is heart disease. The number one cause of heart disease is stress. The number one cause of stress is money problems. All right. Yeah. So essentially we're health coaches too, because if we can fix your financial life, we also fix your health and your even your marital life. Because, if you're not on the same page with your spouse, your partner, your girlfriend, boyfriend, fiance, whoever it is, maybe in your household, that causes a lot of stress. And I'm just going to share a very deep personal story. I remember growing up, and we were in the house on Chester Street in Olathe. It was before we moved to the 163rd house. And this was right around the time that Dad started to learn about the infinite banking concept. And Mom and Dad would have some, pardon my French, some pissy matches with each other. Like, I remember there were some times where volumes on their mouths would be raised all the way up. They'd be pushing around some chairs and some tables because they just weren't on the same page. See, my mom is very, very frugal, and Dad is too. I actually, we call Dad an extreme couponer. I mean, literally, he just told me the other day, he walked into a Subway, handed over a paper coupon. I said, Dad, hold on. I was thinking about you the other day because I pulled off into a Wendy's parking lot because I had to go and do some strategy calls. And then I look up and it's like 5 o'clock, and I was like, you know what? Wendy's kind of sounds good for dinner tonight. So I splurged a little bit on my Wendy's, but the reason I went in is because they had the flagpoles out, and it said 2 for $12 spicy chicken sandwiches. I said, okay, I'm going to take that 2 for $12, right? But even too, when you're not on the same page with your spouse about your money, that opens a whole other realm of creating some disasters within your life because y'all are on the same page together. So sorry, I'm kind of pivoting this topic here, but like, Stephen, you and Courtney, how important is it that y'all are on the same page with your money? Do y'all have conversations weekly, monthly? What do y'all do?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we I think people handle this differently. So you have to figure out what works in your own, life and marriage. But for us, I mean, what's mine is hers, and what's hers is mine. And we have everything together. All of our accounts are joint accounts. Our businesses are together. Everything we save, everything we invest, everything we do is together. So we have to have those conversations because that's all part of it. And, marriage is for life. And so, I have things that I want to do when our son graduates from our lives and moves on to college, and he starts his own life. And so, that planning starts today. And so we have to have those conversations of, okay, how are we going to ensure that, our son's able to go to college and be able to stay on campus and not have to struggle and kill himself, but also the balance where you don't want to give him everything. We're both in agreement there. So, it starts with having those conversations, having that plan, and then just working on that. But, you don't just say, hey, let's do this, and this is what's going to happen 10 years from now. No, it's every single day. It's every single week, every single month. It's checking on it quarterly. It's how things are going. It's analyzing and restructuring and redoing it every year because, things don't always go as planned. Markets change, investments change, whatever the case is. And so, plans change. And so we want to make sure he does that. Something that we both want to do is when he leaves, we want to spend 1 year and go do what's called the Great Loop. So we want to get a houseboat. It's called a trawler, about a 50-foot trawler. And we're going to live in this thing for a year. And we're going to start right. We live a half a mile from the Intracoastal now. So we're going to start right at the Intracoastal at our house. We're going to hop in the boat and we're going to go north. And it goes up into the Great Lakes and across the Great Lakes. And you come down the Mississippi into the Gulf of Mexico and then right across the Caloosahatchee, which you're familiar with over in Fort Myers, which connects right back into Stuart, Florida, which runs right back into Hope Sound, which is where I live. And so we're going to spend 1 year just doing the Great Loop. But guess what? To be able to do that, you have to start planning today. Because how are you going to buy that boat? How are you going to have everything in place? How are you going to have your money and everything going, right? And so that planning takes today. So you're not going to accomplish everything in 1 day, but you can start talking about it and thinking it. And you got to have a vision. You got to know where you're going to be able to make that happen. And so I don't know where that story came from, but yeah, you got to talk with my wife. Yeah, you got to talk about this stuff, your finances, your money every single day with each other. So very important.
But hey, this is the first time I'm ever hearing about that. That's really, really cool. When are you guys going to do that?
I've been researching it for about 3 years now. So there's Facebook groups called the Great Loop. and people share their stories and people meet up. So you basically just go from marina to marina. You can dock up, you spend a couple days, few days, explore the area if you want. You have the little tender boat you take to the dock, and then we'll have electric bicycles we bring and stuff like that. But yeah, it's super cool, man. Check it out. It's I'm stoked for it. It's something we've been talking about for a couple of years, and I'm still convinced we're going to do it. So we'll see.
Very cool. Hey, you need to put a date on it. Seriously, put a date on it and say, hey, this is going to be our year. And
well, it's around our son though, so it depends. I mean, if all goes right and he goes to college, it'll probably be his freshman or sophomore year of college, as soon as he's out of our house in that manner.
Very cool. Very cool. Hey, and by the way, Starlink is amazing. Okay. I've been using Starlink when I'm on the road. So I imagine you might be getting some Starlink to stay connected while you're out.
Or whatever, 10 years from now they have this technology.
That's true.
By that point, some robot will probably be driving the boat for me and streaming internet right from the robot's butt. There's be some internet, who knows? But yeah. Exactly.
Wow, that's really cool. Hey, just real quick for my own personal interest, do you also sail? Do you know how to sail?
No. Well, yes, it's basic sailing. Yes, there's a sailing camp like 20 minutes from our house, and we'll go do that. So Bryce goes to sailing camp every summer, so he's learning. So he kind of shows me some stuff actually. So I know the basics of it. Sailing's super cool though.
I know. Okay, wait, can a 26-year-old join sailing camp, or is it just for little ones?
Yeah.
Seriously, I want to learn how to sail. So actually, my uncle and my aunt, they are living on their sailboat, but they've just been in South America. So I'm like, guys, come up here, teach me all of this stuff.
Yeah, no, you can go to sailing. You can go to adult sailing camp. We went to a 2-day thing a few years ago. It was pretty cool.
It's fun. So hey, it just really gets into, why are we storing our dollars within the policies to prep for these emergencies, unforeseen times? Because number one, guaranteed liquidity, right? You have access to your cash value. I tell you within 30 days. The only reason I tell you within 30 days is because I don't want to tell you 10 days, then you get mad at me when it shows up in 12. All right. But it is, within 30 days, you have access to that liquidity. You have access to it without penalties, okay? Even taxes. You don't got to pay tax on those policy loans. I mean, traditionally, you don't have to pay tax on loans. But hey, even here with the policy, you can withdraw tax-free under your cost basis and those policy loans, right? You can take that. That's coming out tax-free. On top of that, it's uninterrupted compounding. I think y'all know that. We talk about that a lot. And you really control the timing. At the end of the day, it's just who is in control of your money, and you want to be in control of it. So I'm just going to leave y'all here with these 3 questions, okay? Ask yourself this and really just get honest with yourself. Where is your money being stored right now? Where's it being stored? How fast can you access it without penalties, without, taxes, okay? And then who controls the terms? Where's the money being stored? How fast can you access it? And who controls those terms? So think about those few questions.
Yeah. So the last thing, Hannah, I just wanted to mention too, because people sometimes will be like, let me put my money, max out my 401k, and if I ever need the money, well, I can take a 401k loan, but you don't realize it's up to $50,000. So first off, it's not a ton of money. You do, and then you're required to pay that back at regular intervals from your paycheck. So there's a lot that's involved with those loans. And if you withdraw the money, like you're saying, because 401ks, you're just giving up your control. I mean, if you pull the money out, you're paying taxes, you're paying penalties, you're giving up that control. And when you look at everything combined, I just pulled it up when you were talking. The U.S. debt right now is almost $7 trillion. It's unfathomable. You can't even comprehend how much money that is. And so at some point we got to start paying that down or figuring that out. And there's only 2 ways to do that. It's using taxpayer money, which would consist of increasing taxes greatly. So if we're putting money into these tax deferred accounts, I mean, it seems to me in the future, taxes are just going to have to go up. I mean, it just seems like there's no other option, or they're going to inflate the hell out of the currency and devalue the dollar, which helps with paying down things like debt. And so, but that's horrible for our money. And if our money's tied up in 401ks and we can't control it, and all of a sudden inflation's running wild, it's just so I just go back to it's all about control to me, Hannah. The traditional way just doesn't seem to work. In infinite banking and the different strategies we teach around infinite banking, it just seems like such a better way of doing things. And so if you're new listening on here, or you're newer to infinite banking and don't fully grasp the concept, go watch, just dive into it. Like, take a weekend, read as many books, listen to as many audiobooks, watch the podcast, watch the webinar trainings, go on YouTube, and just take it all in, because I can promise you it's such a better way when you can control your money. And then you can have people guide you. You can still have a financial advisor. You can still get that traditional advice, but know what you're getting into, know what you're talking about, and it will change your life. I've seen it happen for so many people over the years now. It's just a beautiful thing.
Oh, it is. Hey, and shout out too. Yeah, so if it's been a while, or if this is your first podcast that you're listening to of us over here at the Money Multiplier, go and watch the presentation. All right, 90 minutes of your time, and I'm telling you, it's going to be the most powerful 90 minutes that you will ever spend. And if it's not, I will compensate you for your time. Okay, that's how passionate I feel about that. But the moneyMultiplier.com/presentation, that will take you to the foundational roots of what is infinite banking, why are we practicing it, how are we implementing this. And then, hey, if you want to get in contact with Steven, send him an email. Snaggy is what I say, snaggy at themoneymultiplier.com. So SNAGY at themoneymultiplier.com if you want to talk with Mr. Steven. And then, hey, Steven, last thing, you are coming out to Tampa, which is just going to be in a few short, like literally a week and a half. Okay. As this episode goes live, a week and a half. I'm very excited to have you out, and you're going to be talking about some cool topics. So
come to Tampa. I don't know if it'll be sold out by then, but come to Tampa. Let's hang out. It's so much fun, dude. It's and I saw the lineup you have. I mean, I don't know if you're keeping the secrets, but there's some really powerful speakers and experts coming. So I'm stoked.
Yeah. So, all right, moneygamelive.com if you want to come and join us in Tampa, if we're not already sold out, because seriously, we are getting up there. All right. Well, hey, thanks for connecting with me today, my man. Is there anything else you want to leave the listeners with?
No, just don't get overwhelmed. I talk to a lot of people who are like, you guys teach so much. You guys talk about all these different strategies. Just start with one thing. Start with the strategy call. Get on the phone with Hannah. Get on the phone with one of our money mentors. And bring your situation. Be willing to talk. I mean, we're all licensed. We all have your best interest in mind. That's one of our core values of our company, is we always put your needs and what you need over anything that we do on the business side or what we do. And so just come with us with an open mind. Come with us with your questions. Try and trip us up. Try and say things that you think that are impossible, that we're telling you are right, and let us prove you wrong. Let us just explain it to you, show you. The cool thing about what we do is you don't make any decisions until you actually see your plan. You actually see your strategy, you see your policy, you see what it's going to look like. There's no money exchanges hands. Nothing happens prior to that. And to me, Hannah, that's one of the cool things. It's almost like a preview into your future and exactly what that's going to look like without actually having to make that decision yet, which to me is wild. It's a completely different way of looking at a sale, but it's the way that we operate. And I think it's super cool. So come to the call with your debts, come to the call with your investments, with your goals, where you are today, where you want to be in the future, what that looks like, and let us talk through it with you. Let us create a plan, create a strategy. And if it makes sense, I think it'll be one of the best decisions you'll ever make in your life, to become your own banker and work with the Money Multiplier.
That's right. Hey, and if you want to get in contact with me, here's my email up there on the screen if you are watching this. Or for my listeners, it's Hannah spelled the same ways, forwards and backwards, Hannah at themoneymultiplier.com. And, emergencies don't destroy wealth. Bad systems do. And you don't become financially free by hoping nothing goes wrong, crossing your fingers, hoping and praying. I mean, in my opinion, you become free by being ready when it does. So thanks for being here, listeners. I will be back next week for another episode. Every Tuesday, the podcast goes live. And reminder, I go live on my social media channels, Hannah Kesler or the Money Multiplier, every Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time. So I'll catch you then. You can be in the chat box, ask me live questions. But until next week, thanks for being here. Talk to y'all soon.
See you guys.
If you really enjoyed this episode, you'll really like this one.